Good evening, dear listener, and welcome back. Tonight, we continue our gentle journey through The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I'm glad you've returned to wander a little farther with mole, rat, toad, badger, and the friends of the quiet riverbank. If these peaceful stories bring you comfort, feel free to like the video and subscribe. I'd also love to know where you're listening from and what hour of the night has guided you here. So settle in, take a slow breath, and let the calm of the night surround you as we drift together into the next part of our story. Chapter 7. The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. The Willow. Wren was twittering his thin, secret little song, hidden deep in the dark tangles along the riverbank. Though the night had crept past 10 o'clock, the sky still held the last pale skirts of the vanished day, and the heavy heat of the fierce afternoon slowly loosened, dissolving under the cool, gentle touch of the short midsummer night. Mole lay stretched on the grass, still faintly panting after the long, cloudless day. Rat had gone off on the river with friends, leaving Mole to keep an old promise with Otter. Now the water rat had returned, only to find the house empty and the lamps unlit. Mole had guessed his friend was lingering with Otter, as he so often did, and the night was still far too warm to think of going indoors. So Mole rested on a bed of soft leaves, letting his mind drift dreamily through the pleasant hours that had passed. Soon, he heard the light, familiar footsteps padding toward him over the dry grass. Blessed coolness, Rat sighed as he sat down, gazing into the dark water with a troubled quietness. You stayed to supper, of course, Mole said. I had to, Rat replied softly. They wouldn't hear of me slipping away. They were as kind as ever, almost too kind. In that way, animals are when they're trying to hide how unhappy they are. Mole, I think they're in trouble. Little Portly is missing again. And Otter? Well, he feels more than he ever says. What? That child? Mole asked lightly. Oh, he'll turn up. He always does. He wanders, gets lost, finds his way back. Everyone knows him and loves him. Someone will bring him home. Yes, Rat said gravely. But this time it's different. He's been gone for days, and no one has seen so much as a whisker of him. Otter's worried, truly worried, and Portly still isn't much of a swimmer. I fear he's thinking of the weir. The water's heavy this season, and that place has always fascinated the little chap. There are traps too, you know. Things a youngster shouldn't meet. Rat sighed. When I left, Otter walked out with me, saying he needed air, but I could see it wasn't that. I led him on, gently, and at last He told me the truth. He plans to spend the whole night watching at the ford, the old ford, before they built the bridge. I know the place, Mole said. But why there? It's where he taught Portly to swim, where the child caught his first fish. He adored it. And Otter hopes, well, if the little fellow wanders back, he might head there first. They fell silent, thinking of the lonely father crouched by the water in the dark, keeping vigil through the long hours. At last, Rat stirred. I suppose we should think of turning in. But he didn't move. Rat, Mole said quietly, I can't go to bed. Not tonight. Even if there's nothing to be done, we must try. Let's take the boat and search upstream. The moon will be up soon. It's better than lying awake doing nothing. That's just what I was thinking, Rat murmured, rising. It's not a night for sleep, anyway. They slipped the boat into the water. Rat paddled with careful strokes, while Mole steered through the shimmering, shadowed stream. In mid-channel, the sky glimmered faintly on the surface, but under the overhanging branches, the water looked as solid as earth, and Mole guided the boat with quiet judgment. Though dark and deserted, the night was alive with small rustlings and whisperings, creatures busy at their nightly trades, unseen but close. The river itself gurgled and clucked softly, its sounds nearer and stranger in the quiet. Then the horizon brightened. A silver glow rose slowly, and at last the moon lifted, majestic and serene, clearing the earth's rim to drift free in the cloudless sky. Under her soft light, the meadows, gardens, and river revealed themselves once more, gentle and faintly enchanted, freed from the shadows, but still touched with mystery. They tied the boat to a willow and searched along the shore. Hedges, hollow trunks, small runnels, and ditches, moving patiently, silently. Then they pushed off again, following the river upward, while the moon shone down, as though trying her far-off best to aid them. At last, she sank low, reluctantly, and night regained its deeper hush. But then a change began. The horizon sharpened. A breeze stirred the reeds. A bud piped once. Rat suddenly sat up, listening with fierce attention. "It's gone," he whispered. "Beautiful. Strange. I almost wish I hadn't heard it. It awakened a longing that aches." He tensed again. "No, there it is." Mole heard nothing but wind and river. Rat heard everything. He trembled, transported. A divine music seemed to carry him away, swinging his soul like a helpless child held safely in strong arms. Mole rowed gently until Rat directed him, wordlessly, to a backwater. As the light grew, they saw the colors of flowers along the bank, jeweled in the early glow. "Nearer, Mole. Surely now you hear it." And suddenly, Mole did. The melody washed over him like a living wave, joyous, clear, impossibly sweet. The tears on Rat's cheek shone softly. Mole bowed his head, understanding without words. They drifted in perfect stillness as the music commanded them, gentle and irresistible. No bird sang. The world seemed to hold its breath. The meadow grasses glowed greener than ever before, the flowers more vivid, more fragrant, alive in a way that felt both familiar and enchanted. Then the murmur of the weir reached their ears. Foam and swirling eddies filled a half circle from bank to bank, and in its heart lay a small island, ringed with willow and silver birch, reserved, waiting. They slipped through the trembling waters and moored at the island's edge. Quietly, they climbed to a small lawn encircled by wild orchard trees. "The place of my dream," Rat whispered. "Here, if anywhere, we'll find him." Then Mole felt it, an awe that softened his limbs and bowed his head. Not fear, but a peaceful, overwhelming presence drawing near. He turned slowly. Rat was trembling beside him, just as stricken. The dawn brightened. The piping hushed, and Mole lifted his eyes. There, revealed in the pure light of the rising day, stood the friend and helper, horns curving back, eyes filled with warm mischief, muscles rippling with timeless strength, panpipes still cradled in one great hand. Beside his hooves, curled in perfect peace, slept little Portly. For a single, breathless moment, Mole saw all, understood all, and lived. "Are you afraid?" Rat whispered. "Afraid? Of him? Oh, never yet. Oh, Mole, I am afraid." And the two small creatures bowed to the earth and worshipped. Then the sun broke across the meadows, dazzling them. When they looked again, the vision had vanished. Birds burst into song. A soft, playful breeze touched their faces, and with it came forgetfulness, the gentle mercy of the God of the wild, lest the memory weigh too heavily on their hearts. Mole blinked, confused. "I beg your pardon, Rat. What were you saying?" "I said this seemed the right place," Rat murmured, puzzled. "And look, there he is." He ran to Portly, who woke with a joyful squeak, though confusion quickly clouded his face. Like a child Waking from a warm dream to a strange room, he searched the island in circles until the moment came when hope broke and he began to cry. Mole hurried to comfort him. Rat lingered, studying deep hoof marks in the grass. "Some large animal has been here," he whispered, stirred by something he couldn't name. "Come on, Rat," Mole called. "Otter will be waiting." They settled portly between them in the boat and paddled downstream. The sun was warm, the birds loud and merry, though the colors along the bank felt somehow softer than before, less brilliant than some fading memory they could not grasp. They reached the main river and turned upstream. Soon they saw Otter, a dark shape rising from the shallows, and heard his joyous bark as Portly rushed toward him. Then Mole turned the boat, letting the quiet current carry them home. "I feel strangely tired," Mole sighed. "Not from the night, but as if something wonderful and a little terrible has happened. But nothing has it? Oh, something splendid and beautiful," Rat murmured, eyes half closed. "But yes, I feel it too." The warm sun soaked into their fur. The wind whispered in the reeds. "It's like far-off music," Mole said sleepily. "So I was thinking," Rat whispered. "Dance music, drifting in and out of words. Listen, now it's becoming words again." He recited softly, "Lest the oar should dwell and turn your frolic to fret, you shall look on my power at the helping hour, but then you shall forget." The reeds seemed to sigh in answer. "Forget, forget." Again the voice returned. "Helper and healer, I cheer small waifs in the woodland wet. Strays I find in it, wounds I bind in it, bidding them all forget." Rat strained to hear more, but the song faded into reed talk. "What do the words mean?" Mole asked. "I don't know," Rat said gently. "I only pass them on." He waited, listening. Then he smiled, a soft, dreamy smile. But no more words came. Mole looked at him and understood. Rat was fast asleep. Chapter 8. Toad's Adventures. When Toad found himself shut away in a dank, murky dungeon, with all the heavy gloom of an ancient fortress pressing between him and the bright outer world he loved, those warm, high roads where he had lately darted about as though he owned every last one of them, his courage failed completely. He threw himself at full length upon the cold stones, burst into bitter tears, and surrendered to the deepest misery. "This is the end," he murmured. "At least, it is the end of the great career of Toad." the popular toad, the handsome toad, the carefree, debonair toad. All finished. How can I ever hope to be free again, he moaned, when I was so rightly imprisoned for taking such a splendid motor car and behaving with such daring cheek to so many policemen. His sobs rose until they caught in his throat. What a stupid creature I was, he lamented. Now I shall waste away here until even the people who once boasted they knew me have forgotten the very name of Toad. Oh, wise badger, clever rat, sensible mole, how sound your judgments were, how well you understood the ways of the world. With such gloomy thoughts, he passed the long days and restless nights, refusing nearly every meal, though the old jailer reminded him more than once that many comforts and even luxuries could be arranged at a price if Toad wished to have them brought from outside. The jailer had a daughter, gentle and good-hearted, who helped with the lighter duties. She adored animals, keeping a canary in a little cage by day and covering it carefully at night, along with several piebald mice and a squirrel that never stopped turning its wheel. Pitying the wretched state of poor Toad, she spoke softly to her father. "Let me look after him," she said. "I can cheer him. I'll make him eat. I'll make him sit up and do tricks. Just let me try." Her father, weary of Toad's weeping and sulks, agreed at once, and so, that very day, she carried a small dinner to his cell and tapped lightly at the door. "Come now, Toad," she coaxed as she stepped inside. "Sit up, dry your eyes, and be sensible. I've brought you something nice and hot, bubble and squeak, fresh from the oven." The comforting aroma of warm cabbage drifted through the tiny room, reaching even Toad as he lay face down in despair. For a fleeting moment, life seemed perhaps not wholly empty. Yet he only kicked and wailed, refusing every encouragement. The wise girl left him then, but the scent lingered, curling through the air like a gentle reminder. Between sobs, Toad sniffed, and slowly, quietly, his thoughts wandered to meadows and warm gardens, to bees in the snapdragons at Toad Hall, to bright tableware clinking at dinner time, to the scrape of chairs on polished floors. The grayness of the cell softened. Color seemed to warm the air. He thought of his friends, of clever lawyers, and how foolish he had been not to summon them. Finally, he thought of himself, his cleverness, his ingenuity, all the things he was still perfectly capable of doing. His spirits began to mend. When the girl returned with hot tea and thick slices of buttered toast, golden and fragrant. The smell alone seemed to speak to him of winter firesides, frosty mornings, sleepy cats, and drowsy canaries. Toad sat up, dried his eyes, sipped his tea, and ate with growing pleasure. Soon he was chatting eagerly about himself, his home, and his importance. The girl saw it comforted him and encouraged him gently. "Tell me about Toad Hall," she asked. Toad brightened at once. "Toad Hall is a distinguished residence," he declared proudly. "Partly 14th century, but fitted with every modern convenience, up-to-date sanitation, 5 minutes from church, post office, golf links." She laughed and shook her head. No, tell me something real about it. But first, I'll fetch you more tea and toast." She returned with a fresh tray, and Toad, restored to his usual cheerful self, talked of the boathouse, the kitchen garden, the stables, the fish pond, the dairy, the pigeon house, and especially the banqueting hall, where he sang and told stories for his friends. She listened with warm interest, though wisely avoided calling him a pet, for she knew he would resent it. That night, after she tidied his straw and filled his jug, Toad sang little tunes to himself and drifted into the soundest sleep he had enjoyed in weeks. As the dreary days passed, the girl grew more and more sorry for him. Toad, in his vanity, fancied she had grown tender toward him, though he half regretted that the gulf between them was so wide. One morning, however, she seemed oddly distracted. "Toad," she said at last, "listen, I have an idea." And she explained. Her aunt was the castle washerwoman. Every Monday, she carried out the prisoner's laundry and returned it Friday evening. "She is very poor," said the girl. "And you, by your own claim, are rich. With a little money, she might lend you her dress and bonnet. You could escape disguised as her." "We are not alike at all," huffed Toad. "You are," said the girl firmly. "About the figure, at least." Toad, flustered, relented. Yes, thank you. Introduce me to your aunt." That evening, the aunt arrived with the week's washing. The sight of Toad's gold coins settled most questions at once. In exchange, he received a cotton gown, apron, shawl, and rusty bonnet. The old woman insisted only that she be securely bound and gagged, so she could claim to be a victim of circumstance. Toad delighted in the idea. It sounded dramatic. The girl helped dress him, laughing until she could hardly stand. "You're the very image of her," she said. "Only you've never looked so respectable." With a fluttering heart, but the firmest step he could manage, Toad set out. To his relief, the washerwoman's familiar figure seemed to open every barred gate. Warders hurried him along, eager for their own meal times. The teasing comments he endured tested his temper, but he managed to reply in character, keeping himself dignified, just barely, until the outer gate clicked behind him and the fresh air touched his brow. Free. Not knowing where to go next, he saw red and green lights in the distance and heard the snorting and clanking of engines. A railway station. Perfect. He consulted the timetable and found a train heading toward home. But when he reached for money, there were no pockets. And then he remembered, with horror, that his coat and waistcoat and all his belongings were still in his cell. He attempted a bold bluff at the ticket window, but it failed miserably. Called "Good Woman" by an old passenger, Toad fled down the platform in despair. What could he do? Escape would soon be discovered. Then he spotted an engine driver tending his locomotive. "What's the matter, Mother?" asked the kindly man. Toad burst into fresh tears and invented a tale of lost money and hungry children. The driver, moved, made an offer. "Wash some shirts for me when you get home, and I'll give you a ride. Against company rules, but no matter." Toad eagerly climbed aboard. Of course, he had never washed a shirt, and never would. But he resolved to send the man enough money later to cover it. The train pulled away, and the sight of fields and hedges racing by lifted his heart. He imagined Toad Hall, warm food, soft bed, friends praising his daring escape. But his joy faded when the driver grew uneasy. Another engine was following them, fast. Warders, policemen, detectives, all waving weapons, shouting, "Stop!" Toad fell to his knees. "Save me," he pleaded. "I am no washerwoman. I am Toad, unjustly imprisoned. And if they catch me, I shall suffer dreadfully." The driver scolded him, but softened. "You have been wicked," he said. "But you're in trouble. I'll help." The pursuers were gaining. There was only one chance. A tunnel lay ahead, and beyond it, woods. "When we pass through," said the driver, "I'll slow down, jump, hide. I'll lead them away." They shot into the tunnel. The noise roared like a storm. At the far end, moonlit woods stretched invitingly. The driver braked. "Jump!" he cried. Toad leapt, tumbled down the bank, scrambled into the trees, just as the pursuing engine burst into view, roaring past while its passengers yelled, "Stop!" Their train chased on, vanishing into the night. Toad laughed, really laughed, for the first time since his imprisonment. But soon the woods grew cold and unfriendly. Strange sounds rattled. An owl brushed his shoulder. A fox mocked him. Hungry and weary, he finally found a hollow tree, gathered leaves around himself, and slept deeply until morning. Chapter 9. Wayfarers. The water rat felt strangely restless, though he could not have said why. Summer still lay in its full splendor. The gold of ripened fields had only just replaced the green. Rowans blushed red among the leaves, and warm color still lingered everywhere without the faintest chill of the year's decline. Yet the cheerful chorus of orchard and hedge had softened into only a few tired evening voices. The robin had begun to make himself known again, and in the quiet of the air there drifted a whisper of change, of movement, of things preparing to depart. The cuckoo had long been silent, of course, but many other familiar birds, companions for months, were missing too. Their numbers had thinned day after day, and Rat, who always watched the wings above him, noticed that each flight drew steadily south. Even at night, lying half awake, he fancied he heard faint tremors of wings passing through the darkness, answering some distant, insistent call. Nature's great hotel, he reflected, has its season like any other. Guests pack and leave, one by one. Chairs stand empty, corridors close, carpets are rolled away. And those who remain behind cannot help feeling the sting of all these leave-takings, these hurried discussions of new plans, new nests, new roads. It leaves one unsettled, melancholy, and easily annoyed. Why go at all? Why not stay and be merry here with us through the quiet months? The departing creatures always replied the same. We envy you. Another year, perhaps. For now, we have engagements, and the coach is waiting. And so they smiled, waved, and were gone, leaving Rat to feel a little more resentful each time. He was a self-sufficient creature, deeply rooted in his riverside home. Whoever left, he stayed. Yet even he could not ignore the change in the air. The river, low and sluggish now, whispered of endings. The rushes stood tall and thick, unmoving in the stillness. He tried to work, to settle, but nothing held his attention. So he wandered away from the water, across dusty fields, into a vast sea of wheat, golden, murmuring, full of small rustlings and whisperings. Rat loved this place, the tall stalks swaying like a golden sky above him, tossing and shimmering with each wandering breeze. Here he had countless little friends who lived busy, contented lives, mice who were always glad to gossip. But even they were distracted today. Some dug busily underground, others huddled over plans for new homes, measuring and discussing which flats were conveniently situated. Many were packing boxes and dusting off trunks. Piles of food, wheat, oats, nuts, lay ready to be moved. "Why, Ratty, come lend a paw," they called. "What is all this? Rat demanded. Winter is still far off. Oh yes, we know, replied a field mouse, but it's best to be early. Once the machines start clicking through the fields, everything must be cleared away, and the best homes go so quickly. Rat snorted. Bother your starts. Come for a row, or a stroll in the hedges, or a picnic in the woods. Not today, thank you, they said, bustling past him. Perhaps another day. We're very busy, as you see. Annoyed, Rat turned to leave, only to trip over a hat box. The mice stiffened at once. If people would look where they're going, one murmured sharply. Mind that bag, Rat. Rat shook off his irritation and left the field, returning to his river. Steady, faithful river that never packed its bags or hurried away. In the willow branches, he saw a swallow, then another, then a third. They shifted restlessly, talking in low tones. Rat strolled up. Already? Truly? Oh, not yet, said the first swallow. We're just making plans, choosing our route, the stopping places. Half the fun, really. Fun? Rat exclaimed. Leaving your lovely homes, your friends who'll miss you, facing discomfort, hardship, endless change, and you talk about it for pleasure? You don't understand, said the second swallow gently. First, we feel it stirring within, a sweet unrest. Then, memories return, softly, one by one. The scents, the colors, forgotten places calling to us. We dream of them. We hunger for them. Couldn't you stay just this once? Rat pleaded. We'd make you feel at home. I tried once, said the third swallow. Stayed behind because I loved it here. But soon the nights grew too long, the days too gray. No insects anywhere. I nearly perished. One stormy night, I broke. I flew south through snow and terrible winds. But when the sun touched my wings again, oh, the joy of it. Never again will I disobey the call. The others sighed dreamily. Ah, the South. Their chatter wrapped around Rat like warm, glowing threads, stirring something deep and long silent within him. A new yearning fluttered inside, a desire he could not name. When he closed his eyes, the river seemed suddenly cold. The fields, gray and dull. His heart cried out against this treachery, but the sensation only deepened. If the South is so wonderful, he burst out, why do you ever come back? The first swallow smiled. Because there is another call, too. The call of lush meadows and warm ponds, of orchards and hayfields. Do you think you alone long for the cuckoo's cry? In time, we grow homesick for quiet English waters. Today, it feels far away. but its season will come. The bird slipped once more into soft, enchanted talk of violet seas, tawny sands, sunlit coasts. Rat wandered off again, heart aching. From a hill, he gazed southward at the distant downs, the very edge of his world. Today they seemed different, glowing with promise. Beyond them stretched seas and shores he had never glimpsed, and yet seemed suddenly to know. He descended and lay in the cool grass beside a dusty lane, dreaming of roads leading to unknown places. Footsteps approached, and a travel-stained rat appeared, lean, keen-eyed, with gold earrings and a blue jersey. He bowed politely and sat beside Rat in the shade. The water rat sensed he wanted quiet company, so he offered none of the usual questions, simply resting with him. After a time, the stranger drew in a long breath. "Clover on the wind," he murmured. "Cows grazing behind us, reapers in the field, a moorhen by the river. This is a good life, friend, if one is strong enough for it." "It is the only life," Rat said softly, though without his usual certainty. "Well, not the only," replied the stranger. "I've tried it, 6 months of it, and here I am, weary, hungry, and heading south once more, back to the life I cannot escape." "Are you another of them?" Rat wondered. "And where have you come from?" "A little farm northwards," the stranger said. "Had everything I could want, but my heart dragged me away. Each mile south is a mile closer to where I belong." Rat studied him. "You're not one of us, nor a farmer, nor even of this country." "Quite right," the stranger smiled. "A seafaring rat, born in Constantinople. My ancestors sailed with Sigurd of Norway. Since then, the sea has been our home. Any port between here and the London River welcomes me. Set me down on any quay, and I am home." "You must go on great voyages," Rat said eagerly. "Months at sea, short rations, mighty storms, thinking deep thoughts with the ocean around you." The seafarer laughed. "Not I. Coast trader, that's my life, always near land. And oh, the harbors, the lights at night, the smells, the songs." Rat sighed with envy. "Perhaps you've chosen the better way." "Listen, then," said the traveler. "I'll tell you of my last voyage." And so he did. Of temples in the heat of day, music by starlight, amber coasts along the Adriatic, and Venice gleaming like a dream at sunrise. Rat listened in a trance, floating on phantom canals, hearing phantom songs. They traveled, by word alone, to Sicily Sardinia, Corsica, and onward to Marseille, where the seafarer spoke of shellfish so delicious he sometimes woke crying from the memory. "You're hungry," Rat remembered quickly. "Come dine with me." "If you bring it here," the seafarer said, "I dislike going below decks." Rat hurried home, packed a basket with French bread, garlic sausage, cheese that lay down, and cried, and a straw-covered flask of southern sunshine. The seafarer praised the simple feast, and as they ate, he carried Rat along the coasts of Spain, Portugal, Cornwall, Devon, then inland, up rivers to quiet towns and farmhouses where the sea's beating could not reach. When the meal was finished, the sea rat filled his glass, leaned toward Rat, and held him with eyes the color of stormy northern waves. The ruby wine glowed like the heart of the south. Between those two lights, the shifting gray and the steadfast red, Rat felt himself fall helplessly under their spell. The voice flowed on, almost like song. Sailors weighing anchor, wind in the shrouds, fishermen calling at sunset, guitars drifting across moonlit water, breakers on a dark shore, fog over a great liner, harbor lights glowing after a long voyage. At last, the traveler rose, still speaking, still holding Rat's gaze, and described the little gray sea town he would soon reach, its steps leading down to blue water, its boats bobbing gently, its ships coming and going. He described how he would wait there for just the right vessel, how he would board at last, and how the southward voyage would begin. "And you," he said softly, "you will come too, young friend. The days pass and do not return. The south waits for you. Take the adventure before the moment slips by. Step out of the old life and into the new. And when the cup is drained and the tale is told, you may return to your quiet river with memories enough to warm a lifetime." His voice faded, dwindling like a distant insect call, until the traveler was no more than a speck on the white road. Rat rose mechanically, cleaned the basket, packed a satchel with favorite things, took up a stout stick, and stepped out the door just as Mole arrived. "Ratty, where are you going?" Mole cried. "South," Rat murmured dreamily. "To the sea, then the ship, then the shores that call me." Mole saw at once that Rat's eyes were strange, gray, shifting, unrecognizable. He seized him, dragged him inside, and held him as Rat struggled wildly. But the struggle soon faded. Rat collapsed, trembling, then sobbed in dry, painful gasps. Mole locked the satchel away and sat by him until the fit passed into a restless sleep, filled with foreign, fevered mutterings. When Rat awoke at dusk, he was dull and silent. Mole checked his eyes. They were brown again. Relieved, he talked gently of harvests, of hay wagons, of apples and nuts, of jams and winter firesides. Little by little, Rat responded. His eyes brightened. Then Mole slipped away and returned with pencil and paper. "It's been a long time since you wrote any poetry," he suggested. "Try some lines tonight. It may help." Rat pushed the paper aside, weary. Mole left him alone, and when he peeked in later, Rat was scribbling and thinking, lost in the quiet healing of words. It was true, he wrote little and pondered much, but the cure, Mole knew with quiet joy, had already begun. Chapter 10. The Further Adventures of Toad. The front door of the hollow tree faced eastward, so Toad was awakened early, partly by a beam of warm sunlight falling across his face, and partly by the chill that nipped at his toes. In his half-dream, he imagined he was at home again, tucked into his handsome room with the Tudor window rattling on a cold winter's night. It felt as though his blankets had grown tired of keeping warm, risen up in protest, and marched downstairs toward the kitchen fire. In this drowsy dream, he padded after them on bare feet through endless, icy stone passages, pleading with them to be reasonable. He might have woken even sooner had he not spent so many weeks sleeping on straw spread over flagstones, long forgetting the comforting weight of thick blankets pulled snug beneath one's chin. When he finally sat up, rubbing the sleep from his eyes and warming his complaining toes in his paws, he blinked around for familiar stone walls and the little barred window he dreaded. Then, with a leap of the heart, the truth returned to him. His escape, his desperate flight, the chase behind him, and best of all, the glorious realization he was free. Free at last. The word alone warmed him better than 50 blankets. Feeling his spirits rise, he thought of the great, jolly world outside, waiting as though it had been holding its breath for him, ready to welcome him back into its light, ready to keep him company as it had in happier days before misfortune clouded his life. He shook himself briskly, combed out the dry leaves tangled in his hair, and stepped out into the crisp morning. Though it was cold, he felt hopeful. Though he was hungry, he felt brave. All the fears of yesterday had melted away in the clear, honest sunshine. The early summer woods were silent and still as he passed through them, as though they belonged to him alone. Dew clung to every leaf and blade of grass, and the wide green fields beyond the trees stretched before him like a gentle promise. Even the empty road seemed to look about shyly, as if asking for company. But Toad was searching for something, someone who could speak to him plainly and tell him which way to go. It is easy enough to wander without care when your pockets are full, your conscience is clear, and no one is hunting you across the countryside. But practical Toad felt every minute slipping by and longed for guidance. The silent road offered none. Soon, however, a quiet little canal joined it, gliding beside the path like a younger brother, equally tongue-tied. "Bother them," muttered Toad, though he consoled himself that both road and water must surely lead somewhere. So he walked on faithfully beside the canal's edge. Around a gentle bend came a solitary horse, plodding along thoughtfully. A rope stretched from its collar to something behind, dipped with each step, scattering tiny pearls of water. Toad let the horse pass and waited to see what fortune was sending his way. With a soft hush of water, a brightly painted barge slid up beside him. At the tiller sat a stout woman in a linen sunbonnet, one strong arm guiding the boat with practiced ease. "A fine morning, ma'am," she called pleasantly. "To them that aren't in trouble, ma'am, I dare say it is," Toad replied politely, walking along beside her as the barge kept pace. He launched into a tale of sorrow, a daughter summoning him urgently, a business left unattended, mischievous children, and not a penny in his pocket. "And where might your daughter be living, Mom?" asked the barge woman. "Near the river, ma'am," said Toad gravely, "close to a grand place called Toad Hall." "Toad Hall," she said. "Why, I'm heading that way myself. Hop aboard, and I'll give you a lift." With heartfelt thanks, Toad stepped onto the barge and settled down with great satisfaction. "Fortune smiles on me again," he thought, contentedly. As they drifted onward, the woman asked politely about his washing business. Toad, seeing an opportunity, grew grander and grander in his tales. 20 girls working for him, gentry who would trust no other laundress, shirts, and starching and gentlemen's garments, all supervised under his keen eye. The woman listened with amused patience. Soon, however, she mentioned her own washing, waiting in the cabin corner, and asked if Toad might make himself useful at the tub while she steered. Toad blanched. "Let me steer instead," he pleaded, frightened now. "I may not do your things properly?" But the barge woman laughed and shook her head. "Oh, no. You do the washing you love so much." With escape impossible, Toad fetched the tub, soap, and garments, and began with nervous determination. He coaxed, slapped, scrubbed, pounded, yet the clothes only grinned back at him cheerfully, unaltered. His back ached, his paws grew clumsy, and his temper simmered dangerously. At last, a burst of laughter rang out behind him. He turned to see the barge woman, laughing until tears streamed down her cheeks. "A washerwoman," she cried. "You've never washed so much as a dishcloth in your life." Something in Toad snapped. Pride in tatters, he shouted angrily that he was a well-known, distinguished Toad, not to be mocked by a barge woman. She peered at him, recognized the truth, and with swift, powerful arms, lifted him bodily and flung him into the canal. The cold shock stole his breath, but not his spirit. Spluttering, he watched the woman laughing as the barge drifted away. He clawed his way ashore, gathered his wet skirts, and ran after her in a fury. When he reached her again, she hurled insults at him, but Toad ignored her. His eyes had already found his true revenge. The horse, with a sudden burst of daring, he untied the rope, mounted lightly, and urged it away at a gallop. Behind him, the barge ran aground, while the barge woman waved her arms wildly. Toad laughed aloud as the wind rushed past him. Soon the gallop softened into a trot, then into a walk. But Toad was content. He had escaped again, cleverly, triumphantly. He steered the horse away from the canal, through byways and quiet lanes, until both he and the animal grew drowsy in the warm sun. When the horse stopped to graze, Toad nearly toppled off. Looking around, he saw a wide common dotted with gorse and bramble, a little caravan nearby, and a man seated on an overturned bucket, smoking lazily beside a pot of bubbling stew. A heavenly smell drifted toward Toad, rich and warm, like the very soul of nature offering comfort. His belly rumbled fiercely. What he had felt earlier was merely a shadow of hunger. Now he was truly starving. He eyed the man, considering whether persuasion or force might win him a meal. The man simply looked back, pipe in mouth, thoughtful and calm. At length, the man asked casually, "Want to sell that horse?" Toad, startled, realized he had not considered this. Yet the idea promised both money and food. After much dramatic hesitation, finger counting, and argument, they struck a bargain. The man grumbled terribly, but handed over 6 shillings and 6pence and a hearty breakfast from the magical pot. Toad ate until he could eat no more. Full, and content. He thanked the man, said farewell to the horse, and set off again in high spirits. The sun dried his clothes. Money jingled in his pocket. He was closer to home, to friends, to safety. His confidence bloomed. As he walked, pride swelled within him until he burst into a song, one so extravagantly conceited that the gentler verses alone could be repeated without shame. He sang loudly, marching with his chin up, quite pleased with himself, but his triumph was short-lived. At the turn of the high road, he saw a familiar motor car approaching, the very one he had stolen from the Red Lion Hotel. The very people he had watched at luncheon were inside. Panic struck him like a blow. He crumpled in the road, moaning that all was lost. The car stopped. The gentleman, seeing only a fainted washerwoman, lifted him gently inside, speaking with sympathy. Hearing their kindness and realizing he was unrecognized, Toad slowly revived. He begged to sit beside the driver for fresh air, and the request was granted. Sitting up front awakened all his old cravings, and soon he asked, ever so humbly, to try driving the car. Amused, the gentleman allowed it. Toad drove carefully at first, then faster still. Pride and recklessness took hold. When the men shouted warnings, he ignored them. When the driver tried to seize the wheel, Toad held him down with an elbow and opened the throttle fully. The result was spectacular. With one wild turn, the car broke through a low hedge and plunged into a horse pond. Toad soared through the air like a swallow and landed safely in soft grass, while the gentleman floundered helplessly in the water. Laughing breathlessly, Toad ran across fields, through hedges, over ditches. When he felt safe, he collapsed under a hedge, shaking with delighted self-admiration. Once again, he had escaped. But a distant shout broke through his laughter. Turning, he saw a chauffeur and 2 policemen closing in. Terror returned. He fled, gasping, legs pumping, but they were gaining. He looked back too often, and suddenly the ground vanished beneath him. With a splash, he plunged into deep, fast-moving water. The river. He struggled, grasping at reeds that tore away in his paws. Breathless, sputtering, he vowed he would never steal another motor car, never sing another conceited song, only to be dragged under again. At last, he drifted toward a dark hole in the riverbank. Desperate, he caught its edge and pulled himself up until he could rest his elbows there. Panting, exhausted, he peered into the darkness. Something small and bright glimmered within. Slowly, a familiar face emerged. A gentle brown face with neat whiskers, soft ears, and silky fur. It was the water rat. Chapter 11. Like summer tempests came his tears. The rat put out a neat little brown paw, gripped Toad firmly by the scruff of the neck, and gave a great hoist and a pull. And the waterlogged Toad came up, slowly but surely, over the edge of the hole, till at last he stood safe and sound in the hall, streaked with mud and weed to be sure, and with the water streaming off him, but happy and high-spirited as of old, now that he found himself once more in the house of a friend, and dodgings and evasions were over, and he could lay aside a disguise that was unworthy of his position, and wanted such a lot of living up to. "Oh, Ratty," he said, "I've been through such times since I saw you last. You can't think. Such trials, such sufferings, and all so nobly borne. Then such escapes, such disguises, such subterfuges, and all so cleverly planned and carried out, been in prison. Got out of it, of course, been thrown into a canal, swam ashore, stole a horse, sold him for a large sum of money, humbugged everybody, made them all do exactly what I wanted. Oh, I am a smart Toad, and no mistake. What do you think my last exploit was? Just hold on till I tell you." "Toad," said the water rat, gravely and firmly, "you go off upstairs at once, and take off that old cotton rag that looks as if it might formerly have belonged to some washerwoman, and clean yourself thoroughly. Then put on some of my clothes, and try to come down looking like a gentleman if you can, for a more shabby, bedraggled, disreputable-looking object than you are I have never set eyes on in my whole life. Now stop swaggering and arguing and be off. I'll have something to say to you later." Toad was at first inclined to stop and do some talking back at him. He had had enough of being ordered about when he was in prison, and here was the thing being begun all over again, apparently. And by a rat, too. However, he caught sight of himself in the looking-glass over the hat stand, with the rusty black bonnet perched rakishly over one eye, and he changed his mind, and went very quickly and humbly upstairs to the rat's dressing room. There, he had a thorough wash and brush up, changed his clothes, and stood for a long time before the glass, contemplating himself with pride and pleasure, and thinking what utter idiots all the people must have been to ever mistake him for one moment for a washerwoman. By the time he came down again, luncheon was on the table, and very glad Toad was to see it, for he had been through some trying experiences and had taken much hard exercise since the excellent breakfast provided for him by the man with the caravan. While they ate, Toad told the rat all his adventures, dwelling chiefly on his own cleverness and presence of mind in emergencies, and cunning in tight places, and rather making out that he had been having a happy and highly colored experience. But the more he talked and boasted, the more grave and silent the rat became, when at last Toad had talked himself to a standstill. There was silence for a while, and then the rat said, "Now, Toady, I don't want to give you pain after all you've been through already. Seriously, don't you see what an awful fool you've been making of yourself? On your own admission, you have been handcuffed, imprisoned, starved, chased, terrified out of your life, insulted, jeered at, and flung into the water. Where's the amusement in that? Where does the fun come in? And all because you must need to go and steal a motor car. You know that you've never had anything but trouble from motor cars from the moment you first set eyes on one. But if you will be mixed up with them, as you generally are 5 minutes after you've started, why steal them? Be bankrupt for a change if you've set your mind on it. Why choose to be a convict when you are going to be sensible? And think of your friends and try to be a credit to them. Do you suppose it's any pleasure to me, for instance, to hear animals saying as I go about that I'm the chap that keeps company with jailbirds? Now, it was a very comforting point in Toad's character that he was a thoroughly good-hearted animal and never minded being jawed by those who were his real friends. And even when most set upon a thing, he was always able to see the other side of the question. So, although, while the rat was talking so seriously, he kept saying to himself mutinously, "But it was fun, though. Awful fun," and making strange, suppressed noises inside him, resembling stifled snorts or the opening of soda water bottles. When the rat had quite finished, he heaved a deep sigh and said, very nicely and humbly, "Quite right, Ratty. How sound you always are. Yes, I have been a conceited old fool. I can quite see that. Now I'm going to be a good toad and not do it anymore. As for motor cars, I've not been at all so keen about them since my last ducking in that river of yours. Fact is, while I was hanging on to the edge of your hole and getting my breath, I had a sudden idea, really brilliant idea, connected with motorboats. They're there. Don't take on so old chap and stamp and upset things. It was only an idea. We won't talk any more about it now. We'll have our coffee and smoke our pipes and have a quiet chat. Then I'm going to stroll quietly down to Toad Hall and get into clothes of my own and set things going again on the old lines. I've had enough of adventures. I shall lead a quiet, steady, respectable life, pottering about my property and improving it, doing a little landscape gardening at times. There will always be a bit of dinner for my friends when they come to see me, and I shall keep a pony carriage to jog about the country in, just as I used to in the good old days, before I got restless and wanted to do things. Stroll quietly down to Toad Horn, said the rat. What are you talking about? What do you mean to say you haven't heard? Heard what? Said Toad, turning rather pale. Go on, Ratty. Quick, don't spare me. What haven't I heard? What do you mean to tell me? Said the rat, thumping with his little fist upon the table. But you've heard nothing about the stoats and weasels. What? The wild wooders? Said Toad, trembling in every limb. No, what a word! What have they been doing? And how they've been and taken Toad Hall? Continued the rat. Toad leaned his elbows on the table and his chin on his paws, and a large tear welled up in each of his eyes, overflowed, and splashed upon the table with a plop. Go on, Ratty, he murmured presently. Tell me all. Tell me the worst is over. I'm an animal again. I can bear it. When you got into that trouble of yours, said the rat, slowly and impressively. I mean, when you disappeared from society for a time over that misunderstanding about a machine, you know? Toad merely nodded. Well, it was a good deal talked about down here, naturally, continued the rat. Not only along the riverside, but even in the wild wood, animals took sides, as always happens. The riverbankers took up for you and said you had been infamously treated, that there was no justice to be had in the land nowadays. The wild wood animals said hard things and served you right. And it was time this sort of thing was stopped. And they got very cocky and went about saying you were done for this time. You would never come back again. Never, never, Toad nodded once more, keeping silence. That's the sort of silly beasts they are, the rat went on. But Mole and Badger, they stuck out through thick and thin. She would come back again soon, somehow. They didn't know exactly how, but somehow Toad began to sit up in his chair again and to smirk a little. They argued from history, continued the rat. They said that no criminal laws had ever been known to prevail against cheek and plausibility such as yours, combined with the power of a long purse. So they arranged to move their things into Toad Hall and sleep there and keep it aired and have it all ready for you when you turned up. They didn't guess what was going to happen, of course. Still, they had their suspicions of the wild wood animals. Now I come to the most painful and tragic part of my story. One dark night. It was a very dark night. And blowing hard, too, and raining cats and dogs. A band of weasels, armed to the teeth, crept silently up the carriage drive to the front entrance. Simultaneously, a body of desperate ferrets, advancing through the kitchen garden, possessed themselves of the backyard and offices, while a company of skirmishing stoats, who stuck at nothing, occupied the conservatory and the billiard room and held the French windows opening onto the lawn. The mole and the badger were sitting by the fire, telling stories, and suspected nothing, for it wasn't a night for any animals to be out. And those blood-thirsty villains broke down the doors and rushed in upon them from every side. They made the best fight they could. What was the good? They were unarmed and taken by surprise. And what can two animals do against hundreds? They took those two poor creatures and turned them out into the cold and wet, with many insulting and uncalled for remarks. Here, the unfeeling toad broke into a snigger, and then pulled himself together and tried to look particularly solemn. The wild wooders have living in Toad Hall ever since, continued the rat, and going on simply anyhow, lying in bed half the day, and breakfast at all hours when the place is such a mess, I'm told. It is not fit to be seen, eating your grub and drinking your drink and making bad jokes about you and singing songs about prisons and magistrates and policemen. Horrid, personal songs with no humor in them. And they're telling the tradespeople and everybody that they've come to stay for good. Oh, have they? Said Toad, getting up and seizing a stick. I'll surely soon see about that. It's no good, Toad, called the rat after him. You'd better come back and sit down. You'll only get into trouble. But the toad was off, and there was no holding him. He marched rapidly down the road, his stick over his shoulder, fuming and muttering to himself in his anger, till he got near his front gate, when suddenly there popped up from behind the palings a long yellow ferret with a club. Who comes there? Said the ferret sharply. Stuffed since, said Toad very angrily. What do you mean by talking? Like that to me? Come out of that at once, the ferret said never a word. But he brought his club up over his shoulder. Toad prudently dropped flat in the road. And whoosh, the club whistled over his head. The startled toad scrambled to his feet and scampered off down the road as hard as he could. As he ran, he heard the ferret laughing, and other horrid, thin little laughs taking it up and carrying on the sound. He went back, very crestfallen, and told the water rat. What did I tell you? Said the rat. It's no good. Sentries posted, and they're all armed. You must just wait. Still, Toad was not inclined to give in all at once, so he got out the boat and set off, rowing up the river to where the garden front of Toad Hall came down to the waterside. Arriving within sight of his old home, he rested on his oars and surveyed the land cautiously. All seemed very peaceful and deserted and quiet. He could see the whole front of Toad Hall glowing in the evening sunshine. The pigeons settling by twos and threes along the straight line of the roof. The garden, a blaze of flowers. The creek that led up to the boathouse. The little wooden bridge that crossed it. Tranquil, uninhabited, apparently awaiting for his return. He would try the boathouse first, he thought. Very warily, he paddled up to the mouth of the creek and was just passing under the bridge when, with a crash, a great stone dropped from above and smashed through the bottom of the boat. It filled and sank, and Toad found himself struggling in deep water. Looking up, he saw two stoats leaning over the parapet of the bridge and watching him with great glee. "It'll be your turn next time, Toady," they called out to him. The indignant Toad swam to shore, while the stoats laughed and laughed, supporting each other, and laughed again till they nearly had two fits. That is one fit each, of course. The Toad retraced his weary way on foot and related his disappointing experiences to the water rat once more. "Well, what did I tell you?" said the rat very crossly. "And now look here. See what you've been told. Done. Lost me my boat that I was so fond of. That's what you've done. And simply ruined that nice suit of clothes that I lent you. Really, Toad, of all the trying animals, I wonder you managed to keep any friends at all." The Toad saw at once how wrongly and foolishly he had acted. He admitted his errors and wrong-headedness and made a full apology to Rat for losing his boat and spoiling his clothes. And he wound up by saying, with that frank self-surrender which always disarmed his friends' criticism and won them back to his side, "Ratty, I see that I have been headstrong and a willful toad henceforth. Believe me, I will be humble and submissive, and will take no action without your kind advice and full approval." "That is really so," said the good-natured rat, already appeased. "Then my advice to you is, considering the lateness of the hour, to sit down and have your supper, which will be on the table in a minute, and be very patient." And the badger, and heard their latest news, and held conference, and taken their advice in this difficult matter. Yes, of course. "The mole and the badger," said Toad lightly. "What's become of them, the dear fellows? I had forgotten all about them." "Well, you may ask," the rat said reproachfully. "While you were riding about the country in expensive motor cars and galloping proudly on blood horses and breakfasting on the fat of the land, those two poor, devoted animals have been camping out in the open in every sort of weather, living very rough by day and lying very hard by night, watching over your house, patrolling your boundaries, keeping a constant eye on the stoats and the weasels, scheming and planning and contriving how to get your property back for you. You don't deserve to have such true and loyal friends, Toad. You don't, really. Someday, when it's too late, you'll be sorry you didn't value them more while you had them. I'm an ungrateful beast, I know, said Toad, shedding bitter tears. Let me go out and find them, out into the cold, dark night, and share their hardships and try to prove. And here, the Toad interrupted himself. Hold on a bit, he said. Surely I heard the chink of dishes on a tray. Supper's here at last. Come on, Ratty. The rat remembered that poor Toad had been on prison fare for a considerable time, and that large allowances had therefore to be made. He followed him to the table accordingly, and hospitably encouraged him in his gallant efforts to make up for past privations. They had just finished their meal and resumed their armchairs, when there came a heavy knock at the door. Toad was nervous, but the rat, nodding mysteriously at him, went straight up to the door and opened it, and in walked Mr. Badger. He had all the appearance of one who, for some nights, had been kept away from home, and all its little comforts and conveniences. His shoes were covered with mud, and he was looking very rough and tousled. Then he had never been a very fashionable man. The Badger, at the best of times, he came solemnly up to Toad, shook him by the paw, and said, "Welcome home, Toad." Alas, what am I saying? Home, indeed. This is a poor homecoming. Unhappy Toad. Then he turned his back on him, sat down to the table, drew his chair up, and helped himself to a large slice of cold pie. Toad was quite alarmed at this very scene and portentous style of greeting, but the rat whispered to him, "Never mind. Don't take any notice. Don't say anything to him just yet. He's always rather low and despondent when he's wanting his victuals. In half an hour's time, he'll be quite a different animal." So they waited in silence, and presently there came another, and a lighter knock. The rat, with a nod to Toad, went to the door and ushered in the mole, very shabby and unwashed, with bits of hay and straw sticking in his fur. "Hooray! Here's old Toad," said the mole, his face beaming. "Fancy having you back again." And he began to dance around him. "We never dreamt you would turn up so soon. Why, you must have managed to escape, you clever, ingenious, intelligent Toad. The rat, alarmed, pulled him by the elbow. But it was too late. Toad was puffing and swelling already. Clever? Oh no, he said. I'm not really clever. According to my friends, I've only broken out of the strongest prison in England. That's all. And captured a railway train and escaped on it. That's all. And disguised myself and gone about the country, humbugging everybody. That's all. Oh no, I'm a fool. I am. And I'll tell you one or two of my little adventures, Mole, and you shall judge for yourself. Well, well, said the Mole, moving towards the supper table. Supposing you talk while I eat. Not a bite since breakfast. My, oh my. And he sat down and helped himself liberally to cold beef and pickles. Toad straddled on the hearth rug, thrust his paw into his trouser pocket, and pulled out a handful of silver. That, he said, displaying it. That's not so bad, is it? For a few minutes' work? And how do you think I'd done it more? Horse dealing. That's how I'd done it. Go on, Toad, said the Mole, immensely interested. Toad, do be quiet, please, said the Rat. And don't you egg him on, Mole, when you know what he is. Please, tell us as soon as possible what the position is, and what's best to be done now that Toad is back at last. Oh, the position's about as bad as it can be, replied the Mole grumpily. And as for what's to be done, why, blessed if I know. The Badger and I have been round and round the place by day and by night. Always the same thing. Sentries posted everywhere, sticks poked out at us, stones thrown at us. Always an animal on the lookout. And when they see us, my how they do laugh. That's what annoys me the most. It is a very difficult situation, said the Rat, reflecting deeply. But I think I see it now, in the depths of my mind, what Toad really ought to do. I will tell you. You oughtn't, said the Mole, with his mouth full, not allowing the Rat to finish. Nothing of the sort. You don't understand. Well, I shan't do it anyway, said Toad, getting excited. I'm not going to be ordered about by you fellows. It's my house we're talking about, and I know exactly what to do. And I'll tell you. By this time, they were all talking three at once, at the top of their voices, and the noise was simply deafening, when a thin, dry voice made itself heard, saying, "Be quiet at once, all of you." And instantly, everyone was silent. It was the Badger, who, having finished his pie, had turned round in his chair and was looking at them severely. When he saw that he had secured their attention and that they were evidently waiting for him to address them, he turned back to the table again, reached out for the cheese. And so great was the respect commanded by the solid qualities of that admirable animal that not another word was uttered until he had quite finished his supper and brushed the crumbs from his knees. The toad fidgeted a good deal. The rat held him firmly down. When the badger had quite done, he got up from his seat and stood by the fireplace, reflecting deeply. At last, he spoke. "Hold," he said. "You bad, troublesome little animal. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? What do you think your father, my old friend, would have said if he had been here tonight and known of all your goings on?" Toad, who was on the sofa by this time with his legs up, rolled over on his face, shaken by sobs of contrition. "There, there," went on the badger more kindly. "Never mind. Stop crying. We're going to let bygones be bygones and try to turn over a new leaf. What the mold says is quite true. The stoats are on guard at every point, and they make the best sentinels in the world. It is quite useless to think of attacking the place. They're too strong for us." "Then it is all over," said the toad, crying into the sofa cushions. "I shall go and enlist for a soldier and never see my dear Toad Hall anymore." "Come, cheer up, Toady," said the badger. "There are more ways of getting back a place than taking it by storm. I haven't said my last word yet. Now, I'm going to tell you a great secret." Toad sat up slowly and dried his eyes. Secrets had an immense attraction for him because he could never keep one, and he enjoyed the sort of unhallowed thrill he experienced when he went and told another animal after faithfully having promised not to. "There is an underground passage," said the badger impressively. "It leads from the riverbank, quite near here, right up into the middle of Toad Hall." "Oh, nonsense, Badger," said Toad rather airily. "You've been listening to some of the yarns they spin in the public houses about here. I know every inch of Toad Hall, inside and out. Nothing of the sort, I do assure you." "Friend," said the badger with great severity, "your father, who was of work, animal a lot worthier than some others I know, was a particular friend of mine, and he told me a great deal he wouldn't have dreamt of telling you. He discovered that passage. He didn't make it, of course. That was done hundreds of years before he ever came to live there, and he repaired it and cleaned it out because he thought it might come in useful someday, in case of trouble or danger, and he showed it to me. Don't let my son know about it, he said. He's a good boy, very light and volatile in character, and simply cannot hold his tongue. If he's ever in a real fix, it would be of use to him. You may tell him about the secret passage, but not before. The other animals looked hard at Toad to see how he would take it. Toad was inclined to be sulky at first. He brightened up immediately, like the good fellow he was. He said, "I am a bit of a talker, pure fellow. Such as I am, my friends get round me. We chaff, we sparkle, we tell witty stories. Somehow, my tongue gets wagging. I have the gift of conversation. I've been told I ought to have a salon, whatever that may be. Never mind. Go on, Badger. How's this passage of your to help us? I've found a thing or two lately," continued the Badger. "I got Otter to disguise himself as a suit and call at the back door with brushes over his shoulder, asking for a job. There's going to be a big banquet tomorrow night. Somebody's birthday. Chief Weasel's, I believe. And all the weasels will be gathered together in the dining hall, eating, drinking, and laughing, and carrying on, suspecting nothing. No stones, no sticks, no arms of any sort, whatever. But the sentinels will be posted as usual," remarked the Rat. "Exactly," said the Badger. "That is my point. The weasels will trust entirely to their excellent sentinels. And that is where the passage comes in. That very useful tunnel leads right up under the butler's pantry, next to the dining hall. Squeaky board in the butler's pantry," said Toad. "Now I understand it. We shall creep out quietly into the butler's pantry," said the Mole. "With their sticks," said the Rat. "And rush in upon them," said the Badger. "And whack 'em, and whack 'em, and whack 'em," said the Toad in ecstasy, running ground, and round the room, and jumping over the chairs. "Very well, then," said the Badger, resuming his usual dry manner. "Our plan is settled. There's nothing more for you to argue and squabble about. So as it's getting very late, all of you go right off to bed at once. We'll make all the necessary arrangements in the course of the morning tomorrow." Toad, of course, went off to bed dutifully with the rest. He knew better than to refuse, though he was feeling much too excited to sleep. But he had had a long day, with many events crowded into it, and sheets and blankets were very friendly and comforting things after plain straw, and not too much of it spread upon the stone floor of a draughty cell, and his head had not been many seconds on his pillow before he was snoring happily. Naturally, he dreamt a good deal about roads that ran away from him just when he wanted them, and canals that chased him and caught him, and a barge that sailed into the banqueting hall with his week's washing, just as he was giving a dinner party. And he was alone in this secret passage, pushing onwards. But it twisted and turned round and shook itself and sat upon it. And yet somehow at the last, he found himself back in Toad Hall, safe and triumphant, with all his friends gathered about him, earnestly assuring him that he really was Clever Toad. He slept till a late hour the next morning, and by the time he got down, he found the other animals had finished their breakfast some time before. The mole had slipped off somewhere by himself without telling anyone where he was going to. The badger sat in the armchair, reading the paper and not concerning himself in the slightest about what was going to happen that very evening. The rat, on the other hand, was running round the room, busily, with his arms full of sticks of every kind and his belt of pistols, distributing them in 4 little heaps on the floor. "That's all very well, rat," said the badger presently, looking at the busy little animal over the edge of his newspaper. "I'm not blaming you. Just let us once get past the stoats, and I assure you we shan't want any pistols. We 4, with our sticks. Once we're inside the dining hall, why, we shall clear the floor of the lot of them in 5 minutes. I'd have done the whole thing by myself, only I didn't want to deprive you fellows of the fun." "I suppose you are right," the rat said reflectively, polishing a pistol barrel on his sleeve and looking longingly at it. The toad, having finished his breakfast, picked up a stout stick and swung it vigorously, belaboring imaginary animals. "I'll learn them to steal my house," he cried. "I'll learn them. I'll learn them." "Say learn them, Toad," said the rat, greatly shocked. "It's not good English. What are you always nagging at Toad for?" inquired Badger, rather peevishly. "What's the matter with his English? It's the same what I use for myself, and if it's good enough for me, it ought to be good enough for you." "I'm very sorry," said the rat humbly. "Only I think it ought to be teach 'em, not learn 'em." "But we don't want to teach them," replied the badger. "We want to learn 'em. And what's more, we're going to do it too." "Oh, very well. Have it your way," said the rat. He was getting rather muddled about it himself. And presently he retired into a corner where he could be heard muttering to himself till the badger told him rather sharply to leave off. Presently, the mole came tumbling into the room, evidently very pleased with himself. "I've been having such fun," he began at once. "I've been getting a rise out of the stoats." "I hope you've been very careful, Mole," said the rat anxiously. "I should hope so, too," said the mole confidently. "I got the idea when I went into the kitchen to see about Toad's breakfast being kept hot for him. I found that old washerwoman dress that he came home in yesterday hanging on a towel horse before the fire. So I put it on, and the bonnet as well, and the shawl, and off I went to Toad Hall, bold as you please. Who comes there? And all the rest of their nonsense. 'Good morning, gentlemen,' says I, very respectful. 'Want any washing done today?' They looked at me, very proud and stiff and haughty, and said, "Go away, washerwoman. We don't do any washing on duty." "Or any other time," says I. Ho, ho, ho. Wasn't I funny, Toad? "Poor, frivolous animal," said Toad, very loftily. The fact is, he felt exceedingly jealous of Mole for what he had just done. It was exactly what he would have liked to have done himself, if only he had thought of it first, and hadn't gone and overslept himself. "Some of the stoats turned quite pink," continued the Mole, "and the sergeant in charge, he said to me, very short, he said, 'Now run away, my good washerwoman. Run away. Don't keep my soldiers idling and talking on their posts. Run away,' says I. 'It won't be me that will be running away in a very short time from now.'" "Oh, Molly, how could you?" said the rat, dismayed. The badger laid down his paper. "See them pricking up their ears," and looking at each other, went on the Mole, and the sergeant said to them, "Never mind her. She doesn't know what she's talking about." "Don't," said I. "Well, let me tell you this, my daughter. She washes for Mr. Badger, and that'll show you whether I know what I'm talking about. And you'll know pretty soon, too. 100 bloodthirsty badgers, armed to the teeth, are going to attack Toad Hall this very night by way of the paddock. 6 boatloads. Rats with swords will come up the river and effect a landing in the garden, while a picked body of toads, known as the diehards, or the death or glory toads, will storm the orchard and carry everything before them, yelling for vengeance. There won't be very much left of you to wash by the time they're done with you, unless you clear out while you have the chance." Then I ran away, and when I was out of sight, I hid. And presently I came creeping back along the ditch and took a peep at them through the hedge. They were all as nervous and flustered as could be, running all ways at once and falling over each other, and everyone giving orders to everybody else, and not listening. And the sergeant kept sending off parties of stopes to distant parts of the grounds, and then sending other fellows to fetch them back again. And I heard them saying to each other, "It's just like the weasels. They're going to stop comfortably in the banqueting hall and have feasting and toasts and songs and all sorts of fun, while we must stay on guard in the cold and the dark. And in the end, it'll be us to face the bloodthirsty badgers. Oh, you see?" "Mole," cried Toad, "you've been and spoiled everything." "Mole," said the badger in his dry, quiet way, "I perceive you have more sense in your little finger than some other animals have in the whole of their bodies. You have managed excellently, and I begin to have great hopes of you. good mole, clever mole. The toad was simply wild with jealousy, more especially as he couldn't make out for the life of him what the mole had done that was so particularly clever. But fortunately for him, before he could show temper or expose himself to the badger's sarcasm, the bell rang for luncheon. It was a simple but sustaining meal: bacon and broad beans and a macaroni pudding. And when they had quite done, a badger settled himself into an armchair and said, "Well, you've got our work cut out for us tonight, and it will probably be pretty late before we're quite through with it. So I'm just going to take 40 winks while I can." And he drew a handkerchief over his face and was soon snoring. The anxious and laborious rat at once resumed his preparations and started running between his 4 feet. "Heaps," muttering to himself, to which there seemed really no end. So the mole drew his arm through Toad's, led him out into the open air, shoved him into a wicker chair, and made him tell all his adventures from beginning to end, which Toad was only too willing to do. The mole was a good listener, and Toad, with no one to check his statements or to criticize in an unfriendly spirit, rather let himself go. Indeed, much that he related belonged more properly to the category of what might have happened had I only thought of it in time instead of 10 minutes afterward. Those are always the best and most exciting adventures. And why should they not be truly ours, as much as the somewhat inadequate things that really come off? Chapter 12. The Return of Ulysses. When evening finally dimmed the last of the daylight, the rat gathered the little company back into the parlor with a quiet air of excitement, as though he were the keeper of some secret known only to himself. He stood each of them beside his own small heap of provisions, and with great seriousness began dressing them for the expedition ahead. He was very thorough about it, fastening each belt carefully, adjusting each strap so nothing should slip in the dark. A stout stick was slipped into every belt on one side, and another balanced neatly on the other. Then came handcuffs, several sets for each animal, followed by neat rolls of bandages, sticking plaster, a flask, and a sandwich case. Badger chuckled good-naturedly at the fuss and declared he intended to do his share with nothing but the stick already in his paw. Yet Rat merely replied, "Please, Badger, you know I shouldn't like you to accuse me later of forgetting anything." At last, all was in readiness. Badger took up a dark lantern in one paw, grasped his great stick in the other, and gave brisk orders. "Mole first, I'm pleased with him. Rat next. Toad last. And mind you, Toady, if you chatter as usual, you'll be sent home as sure as fate." Toad, in fear of being left behind, accepted his humble position without a single complaint, and away the 4 animals set off into the night. Badger led them along the river for a short distance before swinging suddenly over the bank and disappearing into a hole just above the waterline. Mole and Rat followed nimbly after him. But when it came to Toad's turn, he slipped, of course, and tumbled straight into the river with a splash loud enough to wake the very reeds. His squeal echoed along the water, and in a moment, his friends hauled him out again, rubbing him down, wringing him out, and setting him upright. Badger, however, was truly vexed. "The next time you behave like a fool," he warned sternly, "you'll be left behind without fail." At last, they found themselves in the secret passage. The expedition had begun. It was cold, narrow, damp, and low, and poor Toad shivered both from the chill and from nerves. The lantern light ahead flickered dimly, and Toad soon fell behind. Rat's voice floated back to him warningly. "Come on, Toad." A sudden terror of being left alone in utter blackness seized him. With a frantic rush, he bounded forward, straight into Rat, who toppled into Mole, who in turn stumbled into Badger. For a moment, all was chaos. Badger, thinking they were attacked from behind, raised his stick in fury, only to discover the true culprit. His temper blazed. "This time," he growled, "that tiresome Toad shall indeed be left behind." But Toad whimpered pitifully, and Rat and Mole pleaded for him so earnestly that Badger at last relented. This time, Rat walked behind with a firm paw gripping Toad's shoulder, just to keep him in order. They groped along the passage with ears pricked, paws tight on their sticks, until Badger murmured that they must now be almost beneath the hall. Suddenly, they heard a muffled uproar above them. Shouting, cheering, stamping, the hammering of fists on tables. Toad's nervous trembling returned at once, but Badger said calmly, "The weasels are making merry, that's all." The passage sloped upward. The sounds grew louder, clearer, the clinking of glasses, the shrill cries of triumph. "What a time they're having," Badger muttered. Moments later, they reached the trap door beneath the butler's pantry. The noise above was so thunderous, there was no danger of being overheard. "Now, boys, together," Badger commanded. The 4 pushed their shoulders against the trap door, heaved it back, and hoisted one another into the pantry. Only a single door now stood between them and the revelry of their unsuspecting enemies. The din surged around them, cheering, stamping, laughter. As the uproar subsided a little, a voice rang out. "Before I resume my seat, I wish to say one word about our gracious host, Mr. Toad." More laughter erupted. Toad's eyes flamed. "Let me at him," he muttered, grinding his teeth, but Badger held him back. The voice continued, "Allow me to sing a little song I've composed about Toad." The chief weasel then began his mocking tune. Toady went a-pleasuring merrily down the street. At that, Badger straightened to his full height, seized his stick firmly, glanced at his comrades, and declared, "The hour is come. Follow me." He flung open the door, and the battle began. What a shrieking and squealing filled the hall. Weasels dove under tables, ferrets scrambled hopelessly up chimneys, chairs toppled, glasses shattered. Into the chaos strode the four heroes. Badger mighty and bristling, his cudgel whistling through the air. Mole dark and determined, brandishing his stick with fierce cries. Rat laden with an assortment of sticks, battling with grim resolve. And Toad, poor, foolish, proud Toad, swollen with excitement and wounded vanity, leaping wildly and whooping like a creature possessed. "Behold, he went a-pleasuring," Toad shouted. "I'll pleasure him." And he launched himself straight at the chief weasel. Though they were but four, the panic-stricken weasels saw monsters in every direction. Gray, brown, black shapes brandishing enormous cudgels. And they fled through windows, up chimneys, anywhere to escape. Within minutes, the hall lay cleared, save for a heap of groaning weasels on the floor, upon whom Mole was already dutifully fastening handcuffs. Badger leaned on his stick, wiping his brow. Then he turned to Mole with a satisfied nod. "You're the best of fellows. Go see what those stoat sentries are doing. I believe we'll have no more trouble from them tonight." Mole slipped out through a window to carry out Badger's orders, and Badger instructed Rat and Toad to put the overturned table on its legs again and gather knives, forks, and glasses from the floor. "I'm hungry, I am," he added gruffly. "So stir yourselves. We've got your house back for you, Toad, and you don't offer us so much as a sandwich." Toad felt a sting of disappointment that Badger hadn't praised him as warmly as he had praised Mole. He thought proudly of the moment when he had sent the chief weasel flying with one swift jab of his stick. Still, he bustled about with the others, searching the pantry for food. Soon they found a glass dish of guava jelly, a cold chicken, a cut of ham scarcely touched, a dish of trifle, and plenty of lobster salad. In a basket, they discovered French rolls with cheese, butter, and crisp celery, enough for a small feast. They had just settled themselves to eat when Mole returned, climbing in through the window with an armful of sticks and a look of triumph on his face. "It's all over," he reported cheerfully. The stoats were nervous enough already, and when they heard the shrieks and uproar inside, Some dropped their sticks and fled outright. The rest stood firm for a bit. But when the weasels came bursting out on them, they thought they'd been betrayed, so they all fell to fighting each other. They rolled over and over until most of them tumbled into the river. They've all vanished one way or another, and I've got their sticks, so that's something. "Excellent animal," Badger said heartily, his mouth full of chicken and trifle. Then he turned to Mole. "Now there's one more task before your supper. I want you to take those fellows on the floor upstairs and prepare some bedrooms for them. Clean sheets, turned down blankets, hot water, fresh soap. Make it comfortable, just as it ought to be. Then put them out quietly by the back door. I doubt we'll see them again tonight. And hurry back for some chicken. It's first rate. I'm pleased with you, Mole." The good-hearted Mole lined his prisoners into a neat row, ordered quick march, and guided them upstairs. After a while, he returned, smiling broadly. "Every room ready," he announced, "clean as a new pin. And I didn't need to knock any of them." They agreed very politely that they'd had quite enough knocking for one night. They blamed everything on the chief weasel and the stoats, and offered to help us in any way to make up for it. Mole pulled up a chair and tucked into the cold chicken. Toad, remembering his manners, put aside his jealousy and said warmly, "Thank you, kindly, dear Mole, for all you've done tonight, and especially for your cleverness this morning." This pleased Badger very much. "There speaks my brave Toad," he said. So they finished their supper in good spirits, and later retired to clean sheets, safe at last in Toad's ancestral home, won back by courage, clever planning, and the proper handling of sticks. The next morning, Toad woke disgracefully late, as usual, and stumbled down to breakfast to find only eggshells, stale toast, and a nearly empty coffee pot on the table. This did not improve his temper, considering it was his own house. Through the French windows, he could see Mole and Rat laughing uproariously on the lawn, kicking their little legs in the air as they exchanged stories. Badger, deep in his newspaper, only nodded briefly when Toad entered. Toad knew Badger's ways, so he sat down without protest and ate what scraps remained. But he muttered inwardly that he would get square with the others sooner or later. He had nearly finished when Badger cleared his throat and spoke shortly. "I'm sorry, Toad, but there's a heavy morning's work ahead. It's the custom, you know. You must give a banquet to celebrate our victory. Invitations ought to be sent at once, and you must write them." "All right," Toad replied obligingly. "Anything to oblige. Though why anyone should write invitations in the morning, I do not understand. But you know me. I live not to please myself, but to serve my friends." "Don't be absurd," Badger said sharply. "The banquet will be tonight, but the invitations must be written now. Sit at the table. There's plenty of paper, with Toad Hall printed in blue and gold. If we all work together, we can finish before luncheon. To sit indoors, writing rotten letters on such a fine morning," Toad cried dramatically. But after a pause, his voice turned syrupy sweet. "Dear Badger, what is my comfort compared with the needs of others? It shall be done." Badger eyed him suspiciously, but could find no fault in Toad's innocent expression. He left the room. As soon as the door clicked shut, Toad hurried to the writing table. A splendid idea had come to him. He would write the invitations and include a generous account of his bravery, how he had felled the chief weasel, and hints of the glorious adventures he had lived through. On the flyleaf, he imagined adding a sort of program. First, a speech by Mr. Toad. Second, another address by Mr. Toad, covering topics such as England's waterways, prison reform, horse stealing, property rights, and the duties of a gentleman. Third, a song by Mr. Toad, composed and performed by himself. The more he planned, the more delighted he became. He worked vigorously until every invitation was finished by noon. Then came news that a small, bedraggled weasel waited timidly at the door, asking if he could be of service. Toad swaggered out to greet him. It was one of the prisoners from the night before. Very respectful, eager to please, Toad patted his head, thrust the bundle of invitations into his paws, and told him to hurry and deliver them. "And if you come back tonight," he added loftily, "perhaps there may be a shilling for you. Or perhaps not." The grateful weasel ran off at once. When the others returned for luncheon, Mole eyed Toad uncertainly, expecting sulks or gloom. Instead, Toad was puffed up with pride and importance. Rat and Badger exchanged knowing glances. As soon as they finished eating, Toad stuffed his paws deep in his pockets and said casually, "Well, take care of yourselves, my friends. Ask for anything you want." Then he tried to slip away to the garden to rehearse his speeches, but Rat caught him by one arm, and Badger seized the other. Toad knew instantly the game was up. They marched him into the small sitting room, shut the door, and seated him firmly in a chair. Both stood before him, stern and unyielding. Rat began gently but firmly. "Now listen, Toad, it's about this banquet, and I'm truly sorry to speak to you like this, but you must understand. There will be no speeches tonight, and no songs. Not one. This isn't a discussion, Toad. We are telling you." Toad stared at them in dismay. His lovely vision, his triumph, scattered like leaves before a storm. "Mayn't I sing just one little song?" he pleaded, his voice quavering. "No," Rat said firmly, though his heart softened at the tremble of Toad's lip. "Not even one. Your songs are all boasting and self-praise, and your speeches even worse," Badger added. "It's for your own good, Toad. You must turn over a new leaf sooner or later. And this seems the perfect moment." Toad sat silent for a long while, staring at the floor. At last, he raised his head. Emotion trembled on his face. "You have conquered, my friends," he said softly. "I asked so little, merely to blossom for one more evening, to let myself go, to hear the applause that brings out my finest qualities. But you are right, and I am wrong. Henceforth, I shall be a changed Toad. Never again shall you blush for me." With that, he pressed a handkerchief to his face and left the room with faltering steps. Rat sighed deeply. "Badger, I feel like a brute." "So do I," Badger admitted gloomily. "But it had to be done. Toad must live here, hold his place, and be respected. Better this than become the laughing stock of every stoat and weasel." Rat nodded sadly. "Speaking of weasels, it was lucky we caught that little one with Toad's invitations. I examined a few. They were disgraceful. We confiscated the lot. Mole is in the blue boudoir now, writing plain invitations." As evening drew near, Toad remained in his bedroom, sitting in deep gloom, with his head resting on his paw. But gradually, a new expression crept over his face. His brow smoothed. A slow smile appeared. Then another. Soon he began to giggle, quietly. At last, he stood, locked his door, drew the curtains, arranged every chair into a semicircle, and took his place before them as though facing an audience. Swelling with pride, he bowed, cleared his throat, and began to sing, the final song of Toad's own composing, performed to an imaginary crowd who adored him. The Toad came home. There was panic in the parlors and howling in the halls. He sang with great feeling, repeating the entire song a second time with even greater gusto. When finished, he sighed long and deeply, dipped his hairbrush in the water jug, parted his hair neatly, plastered it flat, and made himself neat and sleek. Then he unlocked the door and went down to greet his guests. The animals cheered when he entered, crowding around him and offering praise for his courage and cleverness. Toad only murmured modestly, "Not at all," or, on the contrary, leaving the others astonished at his meekness. Otter, who was proudly describing how he, had he been present, would have managed the battle, threw an arm around Toad and tried to parade him about the room. But Toad gently disengaged himself. Badger was the mastermind, he said softly. Mole and Rat bore the brunt of the fighting. I did little or nothing. Puzzled looks spread among the guests. Toad moved from one to another, making modest remarks and enjoying with secret delight the curiosity he inspired. Badger had ordered the best of everything, and the banquet was lively, filled with chatter, laughter, and teasing amongst the animals. Toad presided at the head of the table, murmuring polite nothings to his neighbors, and casting triumphant glances at Rat and Badger, who stared at him, open-mouthed with astonishment. As the evening wore on, some young animals whispered that things were not quite as merry as in the old days. Soon came the tapping of paws on the table and cries of "Speech, Toad," and "Song, Mr. Toad." But Toad only shook his head, raising a gentle paw, pressing treats upon his guests, asking after relatives who could not attend. He managed to show that this dinner was conducted properly, with every form observed. He was indeed an altered Toad. Afterward, life returned to its peaceful order. Their days, so rudely interrupted by civil war, flowed once more in comfort and contentment. At Badger's insistence, Toad at last sent a handsome gold chain and pearl locket to the jailer's daughter, with a letter so modest and grateful that even Badger approved. The engine driver received proper thanks and compensation as well. And, though Toad kicked and protested, the barge woman's horse was repaid at its full value. Toad grumbled that he was an instrument of fate sent to punish barge women who could not recognize a real gentleman. But even he submitted in the end. Sometimes, during the long summer evenings, the friends walked together in the wild wood, now a safe and friendly place for them. The inhabitants greeted them respectfully, and Mother Weasels pointed them out to their children. Look, baby, there goes the great Mr. Toad, and that is the brave Water Rat, and yonder comes the famous Mr. Mole. But when little ones were naughty, their mothers would whisper, "Hush, or the terrible gray badger will come for you," which was quite untrue. Badger was fond of children, yet the warning never failed to quiet the most troublesome youngster.